Hey everybody, this is Erica from the Classy Climb blog, coming to you guys tonight, talking about Trump presidency, recession, real estate, and the future of America. Many people are on Facebook venting or gloating, and I'm laughing because I'm like, a lot of these people, their life will not change in the next 4 years. Right. Other than Obamacare that came in, which is called the Affordable Care Act, which really wasn't affordable, a lot of these people are not going to change their habits or their methods or their education. They're just not, right? It isn't until something comes and pushes on them do they change. Now, do I have a problem with President Trump? Nope. I don't have a problem with either president. I was prepared for either way. I was prepared in my business strategy. Were we going to have to put out more bandit signs? Was I going to have to go press hard to get down payments for real estate? What am I going to have to do a little bit different in my business depending on who's in? And at the end of the day, that's my only focus. Because if I sit here and go, oh, he's saying these things on TV and oh, Hillary did this or did that, other than the Second Amendment and who Supreme Court judges were, I pretty much see them as very similar. And people may not agree with me, and that's fine. So President Trump's not going to save you. President Hillary wasn't going to save you. Even Bernie Sanders wasn't going to save you. And I think a lot of people got their hopes up in this effort to say, well, this person's going to come in and save me. Well, let's be really honest. A lot of people who were most affected by factories shutting down and closing were people who lived in communities and they were never going to leave. Like, there's always someone who lives in a hometown and they're just never going to leave that hometown. They choose that hometown over something different, something new, something foreign. And so they are kind of stuck with the ebbs and flows of that hometown. If your hometown slows down, it's not the end of the world. You just have to figure out something different. And in the articles I was reading, people were just like, oh my God, the end of the world. When really they should have said, okay, maybe that Amazon FBA, I should try that. Right? That's shipping, that's home, maybe that work from home options, with different credit card companies and different hotels. They do a lot of that stuff with home workers. Apologize. They do a lot of that stuff with home workers, people who work from home, people who have a separate room with internet and a phone line and can go, right? A lot of people could benefit from that while their kids are at school, the hours their kids are at school. Also in smaller towns, the difference is if you own land or you own things in that smaller town, it puts you at a better position. Everybody has a small town where they're in, and 1 to 10 families own everything, right? 1 to 10 families have like numerous properties. 1 to 10 major families in town own all the commercial buildings downtown. Well, how did that become? Well, they bought things when they were cheap. They bought things when nobody wanted them, and then they created those situations. So it takes a little bit of creativity. And let's say you did have a husband who was driving trucks, and a lot of people can drive trucks local and make 50, 60,000 a year. So don't ever get that twisted. Now, when you drive trucks across country, some people say, well, the first year pays not that great. That may be true if you don't own your own truck. If you own your own truck, and I come from a family that has some truck drivers in it, mostly police officers and military though, and business owners. The truck driving, you make the real dollars when the dollars and the $2 per mile when you own your own truck. You make the 40, 60, 80 cents a mile when you drive the company's truck, and that's the big chunk out of there. Sometimes some companies take 40% when you do these long truck drives. So you have to keep that in mind, okay, about trucking. 2, when you're in these small towns, you're just connected to that town. And that's why a lot of people are moving to Texas. That's why a lot of people move to North Carolina, Florida. They move because there's opportunity, right? But there's always some people who are like, I'm not leaving this town. I'm dying in this town. I'm staying in this town forever, which is fine. But be prepared to be tied to that town. Okay. Even the person who, think about it. We just had Hurricane Matthew come in and flood a ton of South Carolina, a ton of North Carolina. If you invested only in one town, if something happened in your town, your money went flooded too, right? So you have to be careful in that analogy. And so for real estate, that's why I've been really big lately on looking at multiple places you can invest, right? For me right now, it's Indiana and Hagerstown, Maryland, saying I'm going to invest with 1 or 2 turnkey companies in those areas. And homes that are $40,000, $50,000, down payments from the bank are going to be 8 to 10 grand, and plus some closing costs, because it's purely an investor property. And when you look at it from those perspectives, you have a much better much better safety net, right? If something happens in Maryland, but nothing happens in Indiana, I'm still getting a check from Indiana, right? If nothing happens in Texas and I'm still getting a check from Texas, you have to have a strategy here that your resources don't come from just one pot. Because the days of people, uh, boomers are the like number one entrepreneurs right now. 40 years old, 44 years old to 48 years old. Why is that? Because they've been working long enough to tell you it doesn't work. Like working one job, depending on one wage, doesn't work. I know a young lady who worked at a company, was getting paid 20 grand less than the competitors and people doing her same exact job. What she did is she looked around and said, hold up, I'm getting paid 20 grand less. Goes to the boss, confronts the boss. Boss is like, well, can't give you 20 grand right now. I'll give you maybe 5 grand. I can bring you up a little bit. And it's depressing because guess what? That's she knows she's being underpaid. So immediately that's when you have to say to people, no, like that's why people do a lot of consulting, a lot of stuff on the side, is because they're not being paid salaries of their coworkers. They're not being paid the salary when they go on pay scale and Glassdoor. They're like, hold on, I'm getting paid less, but that's their only pocket of money. So they're stuck, right? So that's why boomers are number one to show you, yeah, I worked that model for a long time. It didn't work. I worked more hours, didn't get more pay. We are working the same wages. That doesn't work. And so, like I said, if there's people out there working a job, let's say you're with a company 10 years. If every year you buy one cheap house, at year 10, let's say the company lets you go, you're fine. You're pulling in 8 to 10 grand a month off those rental properties. It's a completely different, mindset and lifestyle. Now, a lot of people say, well, Eric, I put money in my 401k, I put money away. Well, you're way better than many Americans. I'm talking about there's people out there who don't even have $400 or $1,000 for an emergency. There's no savings. There's 64, I think it's 64% of Americans have no liquid savings. And when they mean liquid, they mean money put away into different accounts, right? So that's why I'm such a stressor on this channel of you guys putting $25 away a week. And people are like, $25, Erica, that's no money. Well, let's think about it this way. That's $100 a month. At 12 months, that's $1,200. You're ahead of the guy who has no emergency savings. That's just bare minimum, right? And I'm not even telling you to put in the stock market. I recommend Lending Club. I recommend buying properties. I recommend putting them in your bank certificates, even if you just feel like I don't have anywhere to put it. Put it in your bank certificates. You're not going to get a lot of return, but you're going to have money coming back to you. Now, I choose monthly dividend stocks that are like about 8 to 12% ARP a year coming back. And that's fine. That's fine for me. But I also do a lot of Lending Club. I go monthly dividend stocks and Lending Club, so that money is in two different pots, right? If there's an emergency, I can usually sell the notes in Lending Club if there was an emergency. Same thing with monthly dividend stocks. If I had to, I could sell the monthly dividend stocks, right? So some opportunity for liquidity. Okay. So another thing, the future of America. Some people are just like, oh my God, Erica, the future. They've got the Donald Trump, it's going to be all over. And it doesn't have to be. The surest number one way to depression is having a lack of control over your life. And people hate hearing me say that over and over on the channel, but I have to, because it's when clinical, psychologists and doctors basically check out people with depression, that's their number one thing. I don't have a control over my life. Things are happening to me. My spouse asked for a divorce, child support, kids are taken away. That's why when you have these men who have suicide or completely depressed, got blindsided by a divorce and the kids situation, that's part of it. That's a huge part of it. So number one thing you can do for the future of America and the future for your family is take control of the situation. And even if you're a guy who gets blindsided and gets dropped off tomorrow, and let's say you just struggle, you can't find temp work, you can't find other work. There's so many little different things, side projects you can work on while your kids are at school, so it looks like your dad's still being busy, whether it's Uber, Lyft, there's 10 different type of rideshare companies in Austin at this point, but no Uber and Lyft. Haul junk, be a mover, start a little moving company on the weekends. There's, grass cutting, handyman work, have a guy that does handiwork and you're just the guy making the phone calls. There's so many different things that you can start and do to kind of rein back in control. Now, what I've noticed with a lot of people is if their dad started an insurance company, HVAC repair, which was, they did heating and air basically, and a trucking company, every one of those guys I went to school with, when they were done with school, they had a job. They had a job right out the gate. One guy made phone calls for his dad and towed trucks from nightclubs every weekend. The other guy went right into insurance. His dad helped him get clients. The other guy went right into learning heating and air. I actually had to go get a community college trade certificate so he could officially do as much work as his dad wanted him to. But that's the difference, you know? Once you start something and now your kids can do it, now you've created a job, a family almost level, you know, second generation job. There's power in that. There's power in the fact knowing you're sending your kids away and not, oh my God, my kid might never get a job. You can give them one. Same thing in my family right now. You know, I showed my sister, I'm in real estate. Everybody knows that. I have a real estate office in North Carolina for property management. And then I have a painting company here in Austin, Texas. So painting's called Grandview Painting. You've probably seen us, our signs out everywhere in Austin. Bandit signs, very neat bandit signs on the poles. But the difference is, if need be, in North Carolina, I can go teach my nephews the ropes. I can teach them, you know, hey, we put bandit signs out, we go make offers on houses, and we go talk to the banks like this. This is how we do wholesaling, or this is how we buy houses to rent out, right? Same thing with house hacking. I have a nephew that's old enough, at this point in time, he's away from college, but he probably will be going back here shortly. Hey, dude, if you want to use all that money you've been working while you're away from college and buy a little house and rent all the rooms of your house out in that college town where it's cheap, great. Now you can do it. Now you're going to be able to show you have rental income for, you know, how many years you do that. And that's the power in it, showing people there is a way out. So look, I always believe real estate and hard assets are the best way to go. We're going to go into a recession, which is fine, because at the end of the day, recessions happen every 6 to 8 years. And we're overdue. 2008 was our last one. So if it was 6 years, it would have been 2014, right? We're 2 years overdue. It's about time for a recession. But guess what? The iPhone was created in the last recession. People get mad wealthy in recessions. You have to decide, how is this going to affect me? Because let's be really honest. If the 8 years under Barack Obama, your life didn't change, it's not really going to change under Trump. And I'm not saying that who you vote in doesn't matter, but when you're dependent on a job, you have no investments, you don't own your house. I mean, a lot of these things are within your control, right? I know teachers, I know people who live in Austin who have lower pay, who 8 years ago were said, hey, you need to buy a house in Austin. Buy a house in Austin. It's a great time. And they didn't. So now the same teacher who could have bought, you know, a house or a condo for $87,000 or $100,000 for some of these houses, now those same houses are or $250,000, $300,000, and they're priced completely out. They can't do it. I know a teacher right now who literally has $150,000 equity on her condo and has no clue what to do with it, but just is like, oh my God, I have $150,000 equity. And Austin is pegged as one of those boom towns. The funny thing is, the past 8 years it had already been booming, and now that Forbes put it on the boom town list, you know, you're going San Francisco level on the money, you know, the money that's coming in. Because most people coming to Texas, what people don't realize about Texas, even Texas can have a recession. People want to believe that Texas is an insulary thing, and it's just not true. The thing is, 150 people a day are going to Dallas. 150 people a day are coming to Austin, and they go to surrounding suburbs. 200 to 500 a day are going to Houston. Now, yes, people move back out and they go to other states, but what happens is they have sold their home back home. They've sold all their extra stuff. They cleared out their storage units, and they've come to Texas with anywhere from $20,000 to maybe $100,000 in cash, right? Or credit or ability to buy or invest here. Or they come here and they get a house. So they've brought money to Texas. Now imagine 100 people bringing $20,000. You know, that's $200,000, or that's 2 mil, whatever the numbers are. Don't beat me up in the comments. I know. Do the math. $20,000 times 100 people. You guys do the math. Coming into Texas a day in that one city. So they've brought money to the city. That's the difference. Money's coming in because people are bringing it in. You know, Houston lost 20,000 oil-related jobs, and Dallas's manufacturing is having issues, but it's a very strong area. It's pretty strong. A lot of the companies that people think went to Mexico, some of them just went to Dallas. They just went and sat in Dallas. And so people leave Ohio, leave Pennsylvania, and come to Dallas. So don't, in that notion of like, oh my God, Texas will never be in a recession. Texas can be in a recession too. It just wasn't as bad in 2008 as other cities and states. As like I'm from North Carolina, and Charlotte had houses that were 75,000 one day and 25,000 the next because of Countrywide going under. And people were like, dang, Countrywide, thanks a lot. Which was funny because, Countrywide didn't care. Countrywide was gone. So definitely don't freak out. And this is what I'm saying. You have the ability, it's all within your control to change your situation. So some of you are going to say, well, Erica, under President Obama, our family has lost income, has lost ability. Okay, well, what are the things you need to do? Do you need to get reschooled? Do you need a trade? Do you need to go get a job? Maybe not as glamorous as the first one. What people have lost sight of is a lot of blue collar jobs are paying well. Right now, we're in such a shortage for welders in the whole United States that they are pulling welders from other countries, and welders will be paying anywhere from $150,000 to $300,000 a year. But here's the deal: the company needs you to travel around the United States, teaching the other young welders how to do things. It's crazy, right? But they're making that kind of money because people always think, well, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to go sit in an office somewhere. Don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to sit in an office somewhere. And that's just not realistic. There's only about 3 million jobs in the whole United States right now that need college degrees. 3 million. And we've got 21 million people in college. So what does that tell you? There's going to be a lot of people coming back home doing service-related industry. Now, you can be in front of the curve or behind the curve. And when I mean that in front of the curve or behind the curve, in front of the curve means you could start a little service company, painting, construction, whatever, and go out and bid for the work. If you're consistent, you win. Or you can get in some of those fields. There'll be consistent work. So that's kind of the deal of tonight's talk is I don't fear President Trump. I didn't fear Hillary Trump. I only was worried about, some Second Amendment folks and some folks being upset. I just feel that we have a lot of people thinking someone's going to come save them and they're not. So again, best bet for you is real estate's a hard asset, gold's a hard asset, silver's a hard asset, timbered land. I've told you many times about my friends and family who have land and can cut the trees and sell them, or can plant other fruits and veggies out there and turn around and sell them, or have food, cut the food costs for their family via their land. You have to make a way for yourself. Or if you have a couple acres now, you put 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 trailers on them and you rent those bad boys out, because they will bring you the trailer. If you have the deed to the land, they'll bring you the trailer. I mean, and they're just paying hookup costs at that point. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. Do not get overwhelmed. Take a deep breath. It's President Trump. We're going to be all right. Decide where you can control your life and control your assets. Where is it? Are you putting the 25? Listen, if you put $25, $27 a day away over the course of a year, say today is November 11th. November 11th next year, you'll have $10,000, right? And you'll have enough money for a down payment on a property. So don't overlook the small steps. You guys got this. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them below. If you need consulting and kind of help guiding you on some things, leave it below. If you need credit repair, options and buttons are below. Listen, you guys, take care. This is Erica, Classy Climb Blog.